On January 22nd, 2015, Eric Schmidt, chairman of the world's change agent, Google, told the elite crowd at Davos that the internet would soon disappear.
The internet there'll be so many IP addresses because of IPv6, so many devices, sensors, things that you're wearing, things that you're interacting with, that you won't even sense it. It'll be part of your presence all the time. It'll be part of your presence all the time. It'll be part of your presence all the time.
If the internet is so omnipresent, it becomes part of you.
These smartphones are really supercomputers, and everybody here has one. An interesting statistic is that on the order of 400 million people in the past year got a smartphone.
If we're all online, all connected, all the time, 24/7.
Thank you, good night.
Is this all iPhone lights over here?
It used to be lighters.
But now it's iPhone flashlights lighting up the night. Wow. Those are all iPhones. I've never seen so many supercomputers in one place before. I feel like Ray Kurzweil would be proud. I know Eric Schmidt is. If you can no longer discern where it ends and you begin.
We're going to become increasingly non-biological to the point where the non-biological part predominates and the biological part is not that important anymore.
What does reality really mean anymore?
We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs.
Imagine one day we have these powerful supercomputers, and we really, with fantastic fidelity, can create a universe in silico, if you will, which has sentient beings within it that don't know that they are in a simulation.
So there's one thing you know for certain, that is that you exist as a flesh and blood human being. My goal is to convince you otherwise.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
It's so, in principle, easy once you have that technology. Come home at night, you flick it on, you create a universe, you sort of kick back and you watch what happens. It's therefore much more likely, just based on the statistics, that we are in a simulated universe than that we're not.
We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu. Perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words.
Oh, déjà vu.
I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point, a variable was changed.
What is it?
A déjà vu is usually a glitch in the matrix. It happens when they change something.
Reprogrammed, as it were, and that because of this, an alternative world branched off.
We're in a phase where our lives more and more are beginning to take place in a virtual reality. It's not just a new development in games or an online play area, it's now the dominant forum in which the world interacts and happens.
Our lives are more and more being carried out through virtual communication, through trendy technological gadgetry and social media platforms that now seem like we couldn't live without them when they didn't even exist just a few years ago.
It's a part of the way that I communicate with my friends.
Many of us now have more friends online than we talk to in real life. The attraction of common interests creates circles of online peers that for some become more important than the real people in our communities and our physical surroundings. Do you know who your neighbors are?
We communicate through ones and zeros faster and more often than with our vocal cords. We can be face to face, but predominantly over a digital connection, disembodied from our five-sense reality.
The other day, I saw a woman in a parking lot. She was almost hit by a car, or could have easily been. She was staring at her phone, and the interesting thing is she was looking someone eye to eye. She was doing a FaceTime type of video Skype with what looked like probably her daughter, a little girl. And here was a mother and child having an intimate moment over a digital connection, a wonderful technological thing. But at the same time, she was disconnected from her physical reality and in potential danger, walking around completely oblivious, and yet somehow she was connecting. But what world was she in?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure here, where we are, is real at all. This feels like a game to me. Sweet.
Our lives are being turned into an endless string of data to be tracked, traced, collected, and analyzed without ever looking the person doing it in the eyes.
I just don't think we're getting watched enough in this society. I definitely think at every stoplight we need to have multiple cameras and a searchlight, megaphone-looking searchlight thing.
If it's even a person.
We're all online. Everything we're doing is being tracked in one way or the other. Many people don't know that their phones, by virtue of the E911 law, report their location. And you can't turn it off, by the way.
Extensive information gathering on every American. Electronic surveillance. The era of the computer. Invasion of privacy. Growing government and corporate power over our lives. A people plagued by dehumanization, loneliness, and violence.
We're losing so many of our freedoms as we redefine our identities and sense of self. Who we really are, and why we're really here.
New developments in machine intelligence will make us far, far smarter as a result.
It'll become more and more realistic. Go out 10 years, it's going to be just about as realistic as real reality. Go out 20 years, 25 years, these nanobots, these blood cell-sized devices, will be going in our bodies. We'll have some go inside our brains through the capillaries, non-invasively. They'll be interacting with our biological neurons. They'll put our brains on the internet, and they'll also enable us to enter a virtual reality environment from within the nervous system. So if I want to go in a virtual reality environment, the nanobots will shut down the signals coming from my real eyes and my real skin and create the signals that would be appropriate for the virtual environment. And then it'll feel like I'm in that environment.
You know, up to now, I kept thinking that everything science did was good. My training, I suppose. Now I'm not so sure.
Who controls this virtual world? Who owns it? Are we our own selves? Are we free? Are we making decisions, or are our gadgets deciding our lives for us?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What color is an apple? Hello? They hung up.
Did you break the computer?
Wow, that was better than Blade Runner. Because more and more, it's not even a person. It's a surrogate.
And his name is Mr. Machine.
What's wrong? Nothing real. I just feel as if he's something stronger. If you have a problem, don't hesitate to ask for assistance. It's nice of you, alright. Call 348-FUNCTION.
Are all of us already transhumanists? By definition, it's a moving target. We're in transition, but to where? To what?
It's simple. The singularity isn't about one crystallized moment where a choice is suddenly made to merge with the Borg.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
So electronics are boxy and rigid, humans are curvy and soft. That's a mechanical mismatch problem. They started making electronic tattoos. So I'm wearing one here on my arm, and it has an antenna and some sensors embedded in it. And what we plan to do is work with them to advance a tattoo that could be used for authentication.
It's about an incremental ratcheting up, an encroachment.
In virtual reality, but it will feel very real. We'll ultimately be able to do that with real reality too, like self-organizing swarms of nanobots that can link themselves up into a virtual body.
What you see is how God made you. We're not meant to experience the world through a machine.
Look at these planes, they're writing numbers in the sky. 2.
Is this like a secret combination?
5. Wow, that's crazy.
Not just on your basic sense of privacy or how you interact with one another in the world as you know it, but an encroachment on you.
Now, it may be true that 10 to 20-year-olds don't want to wear a watch on their wrist, but you can be sure that they'll be far more interested in wearing an electronic tattoo, if only to piss off their parents.
We can create bodies with nanotechnology. We can create virtual bodies in virtual reality. The virtual reality will be as realistic as real reality. The virtual bodies will be as detailed and convincing as real bodies.
As virtual reality becomes more realistic, what will become of reality? What is
reality?
No, you know how to shoot me. Hey, tell me the truth. Are we still in the game?